So, in the last class, we were discussing about the economic activity, in which now we shall study about production, distribution, exchange, and consumption. So, these are the basic four types which are classified under economic activity, in which now we shall firstly study production. So, what do you mean by production? Production is creation of utility. There are four factors of production, such as land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So, firstly, we have production. What does production mean? Production means creation of utility. That is, when we have a certain product, how do we use it? Or when we have raw materials available, how do we convert it into a finished product? So, first is production is creation of utility. Then, now we shall study the different factors of production, in which first we shall be studying about land. The activities which are carried out just for the sake of charity, hobby, or in general, whereas there is no monetary exchange, are considered unproductive activities. So, in unproductive activities, they may be classified into different sense. Economics, though they may be adding immense value to life. Some of the activities may add value to life, but they are unproductive activities. So in production, first we shall study about land. Now what do you mean by land? Land in economics is a wide term. It is a natural factor of production. Any natural resource that is available on, above, and below the surface of the earth is called as land in economics. Example, minerals which are found below the surface of the earth, soil, water on the surface of the earth, air, sunshine, wind are above the surface of the earth. Land earns rent in productive activity. So now in this we shall study about land. So land is a natural factor of production. Natural factor means God has gifted us land, in which on which we can produce our resources and we can use them. So any natural resources that is available on the land, below the land, or above the surface of the earth is called as land in economics. Example, first example is minerals which are found below the surface. So first we shall see below the surface of the earth we have minerals. Then on the surface we have soil, water. Then above the surface of earth we have air, sunshine, and wind. So these are different factors which are available on land, below, above, and on land. So land, when we give it, we shall get in return rent. So this is a productive activity which shall give, which shall fetch some land, shall fetch some rent for us. Further, now we have labor. Labor is a human factor of production. Any physical or mental effort undergone during the process of production to earn the reward of wages is called labor. Example, carpenter, accountant, engineer, etc. So, labor. Now, what do you mean by labor? Labor is a human factor of production. Any physical or mental effort undergone during the process of production to earn wages. So when a laborer works, in labor, now they have considered every person. It may be a carpenter, it may be an accountant, it may be an engineer. Every person does something or the other to earn money, and in return he shall be awarded with wages. So he shall earn certain amount of wages. Further, we have capital. The third factor of production is capital. Capital is a produced means for further production. It is a man-made factor. So capital, what do you mean by capital? I'll give you a brief explanation about what is capital. Capital is anything or any amount which is invested in your business for the purpose of starting your business or for the purpose of buying raw material is capital. So basic cost shall be capital cost when we calculate in a business. Then factor of production which earns the reward in the form of interest. Example, machinery, technology, factory building, etc. So these all shall be included in capital. Further, we have studied about how in production we have studied three factors, which is land, labor and capital. Now we shall be studying about entrepreneur. Now what is an entrepreneur, or who is an entrepreneur? So entrepreneur is the person who is the owner of the business, or who is the real captain of the industry. Means what? He has maximum powers and he shall be owning and running the business. Entrepreneur is the organizer who is a real captain of the industry. He is a special kind of labor who gets the work done to earn the reward of profit in the process of production. So when he produces goods and when he sells it above his selling cost, and what shall be in return for him shall be his profit, because he shall produce, for example, if he is producing a good for 100 rupees, out of which his production cost is rupees 90. So then he shall sell the product for 100 rupees, in which he is earning 10 rupees as his own profit, because he has used his special skills, he has used his labor, he has paid everyone, and so in return he shall be getting profit. Further, it shall be, first we have studied an economic activity, we have studied the first part, that is production. Now we shall be studying the second part, which is distribution. So what do you mean by distribution? It is division of factor rewards among different segments of the society. Factors of production claim their rewards of rent, wages, interest and profit through the process of distribution. So now second we have is distribution. Distribution means what? That every factor shall be distributed among various segments of the society. Factors of production claim their rewards of rent, wages, interest and profit through the process of distribution. So because of distribution, we have been able to classify all our rewards into rent, that is land shall give us rent. Then second factor of production we have labor, so we shall pay wages to the labor. Then we have capital. On capital we shall gain some interest. And fourth is entrepreneur, which shall give profit. So all these factors, all these different segments shall give the basic factor, that is production, shall be given boost by distribution. Then next we have exchange. It is give and take between various units in the economy. Exchange refers to sale and purchase of goods and services. In economics, exchange is necessarily a monetary transaction. So, what do you mean by exchange? Exchange means refers to sale and purchase of goods and services. In economics, exchange is necessarily a monetary transaction. So, what do you mean by a monetary transaction? So, exchange shall always be that you shall pay money to the person and in return you shall get the goods. So, this refers to the sale and purchase of goods and services in monetary terms, that is money terms. In earlier times, they had barter system, but now we don't have barter system. Now we use money system. Then next is consumption. Now, after producing, after distribution, after exchange comes the last step, that is called as the consumption. So, consumption, it is making use of goods and services to satisfy human wants. Basic human wants are basically dealing with the consumption, that is consuming the goods. So, we produce goods for our consumption, for the satisfaction of humans. So, this is called as consumption. Now we have seen microeconomics, that is individuals or small households or small industries. We have studied about them, how small industries, how small entrepreneurs, households work, we have seen in microeconomics. Now we shall be studying macroeconomics. So if micro means small, now macro means large, huge or aggregate, that is total. So for getting macroeconomics, we need microeconomics very basically, because when we shall go on adding the income from individual household. Suppose we consider a big society of suppose 25 flats. So when we consider those 25 flats, in those 25 flats we consider everyone's income, whatever income they shall be generating. So the amount of income which they are generating in total shall be aggregate income of that entire society. So for calculating national income or for calculating total income of India, we shall need every part, then we shall consider every state, every city. In such a way we shall go on considering small units to get a larger unit. So this is macroeconomics. So now what shall we be studying in microeconomics? Let us go through it. Macroeconomics. Macro means large or aggregate or total. Macroeconomics is therefore the study of aggregates covering the entire economy, such as total employment, national income, national output, total investment, total savings, total consumption, aggregate supply, aggregate demand, general price level, etc. So we shall be studying in macroeconomics all these concepts in detail, that how we shall be getting aggregate income, how we shall be getting total employment, national savings, national output, total investment, all these factors shall be studied. Now let's study the definitions given by different economists. So we have economist Kenneth Boulding. Definition of macroeconomics. The macroeconomics deals not with individual quantities as such, but with the aggregates of these quantities, not with the individual incomes, but with the national income, not with individual prices, but with the general price level, not with the individual output, but with the national output. So he says that he says that in macroeconomics we shall not deal with individual quantities, but we shall deal with aggregate of these quantities. We shall not deal with individual incomes, but we shall deal with national income, not with individual prices, but with the general price level, not with individual output, but with the national output. So he says that basically microeconomics is smaller units and macroeconomics is larger units. So now we shall study about the basic concepts of macroeconomics. First is national income. This reveals the total economic performance of a nation. It is referred to as the total income of the country. In the economic sense, national income is the aggregate monetary value of all the final goods and services produced in an economy during a year. So what do you mean by national income? By national income, we mean that whatever income is generated by the entire nation in an entire year, so that shall be termed as national income. So in national income, we shall consider firstly at the basic level, they shall calculate the household income, then the income of a certain area, then the income of a city, then the income of the entire state, then income of entire India. In this way, we shall calculate the national income of the country. Now, definition by National Income Committee. What does national income mean? The definition is given by the committee. A notional estimate measures the volume of commodities and services turned out during a given period, counted without duplication. Means what? That what do you mean by national income? So it is an estimate, that is, it is not the exact value, it is an estimate measure of the value of the commodities and services turned out during a given period, counted without duplication. Means what? That it shall be counted only and only once in a entire calculation. So this shall help to get an estimate amount, that how much is the national income, that is the income of the entire nation at the end of the year. In that we have first is savings. Second one, first was national income, second is saving. It is that part of the income which is set aside to satisfy the future needs by foregoing current consumption. In other words, saving is that part of the income which is not spent currently on consumption. So what do you mean by savings? Our father and mother always say that you should save certain amount. So why do they say that? They say this because they know that in future we may need something, we may need a certain amount for some expense that is to be done. So the out of the income which we earn, we save a certain amount. Our parents have the habit of saving certain amount. If they are earning, suppose if they are earning 100 rupees, out of that they will make it an habit to save at least 30 rupees. 70 rupees they shall give it for your consumption, but 30 rupees they shall say, we shall save this 30 rupees to be taken care in future. Okay, so further we have investment. It refers to creation of capital assets through mobilization of savings. Example, machinery, equipment. So first we shall save amount. Whatever amount we have saved, from that now we shall make investments. We shall make investments means what? Mobilization of savings means we shall transfer the savings to purchase a machinery, a equipment. Suppose I want to buy a car next year, so I will make a habit of saving my amount right from now till the day I want to buy my car. So I will take that saving and then I will invest it into a car. This is called investment. Then we have trade cycles. Now what do you mean by trade cycles? Trade cycles are the fluctuations in the business. They are ups and downs in the overall economic activities. Ups and down means fluctuations caused by inflation and depression respectively. So what do you mean by trade cycles? By trade cycles, we mean fluctuations, that is changes in the business. Sometimes there may be ups and sometimes there may be downs in the business, in the overall economic activities. Now, as we are seeing the current situation outside, since we have this corona pandemic going on, so all the businesses have a downfall in their business, that is fluctuation. So we say that the market is going costly, but before this pandemic we had a up in the economic activities, that is we had markets having good customers, people having their savings. Now since people have lost their jobs, they have used their savings in these days, and it has created a problem for each and every person. So trade cycles can be distinguished into two parts, that is inflation and depression. Inflation is a continuous rise in general price level. So the general prices have gone higher and higher, and depression is a continuous fall in the overall prices and lowering down of economic activity in general. Since now we are seeing that many people are just selling because they want customers to buy. So now we are seeing that there is inflation because there is a rise in the price of all the commodities that we are dealing with. Then after inflation and depression, now we have economic growth. The term economic growth has a quantitative dimension. In simple words, economic growth means an increase in the real national income of the country overall a long period of time. So when do we say that we have a economic growth in the country? We say economic growth in the country when we see increase in the real national income of the country for an overall longer period of time. When we see that there is a change, or when there is a quantitative growth, means that there is a growth in the quantity, amount of money has grown in the country over a period, over a year. So we say that there is a economic growth in the country. Then we have economic development. This is a wider concept which has a qualitative dimension. Economic development implies economic growth plus progressive changes in certain important variables which determine well-being of the people. Example, education, health, etc. So in economic development, there will be changes in and progress in the well-being, that is education system shall be changed, health of the people shall be considered, and all the other factors which are required shall be considered and shall be seen changing in economic development. Then next we have, always remember that economic growth and economic development. Now they have given a distinguish between economic development and economic growth. So first we'll see economic growth. Economic growth means an increase in the real national income of the country. Means what? That there is a growth in the monetary terms. They are speaking about the monetary terms, that is related to money. But in economic development indicates economic growth plus progressive changes in the certain important variables which determine well-being of the people. So in economic development, we shall see there is a growth in economy as well as there is a growth and change in the condition of the people, or maybe the standard of living of the people, or maybe there must be changes in the people who are dealing. Then this concept, the economic growth concept, is a narrow and quantitative, but the concept of economic development is broader and qualitative. Economic growth is possible without economic development. Economic development is not possible without economic growth. We cannot see development in the economy unless we see growth in the economy. Further, economic growth is undimensional, unidimensional concept, and development is a multidimensional concept. Means what? Economic growth is unidimensional, means it is related to only few concepts, but economic development is related to multiple concepts. As multiple, there will be multiple changes in the concept. Economic growth is spontaneous and reversible. Economic development is deliberate and irreversible. Means what? That economic growth, there may be difference or there may be changes in the economic growth, but in economic development it shall be irreversible. Means what? Once it is developed, there are very less chances of coming back. Economic growth is measured in terms of national income and per capita income. Means what? That for calculating economic growth, we shall see to it that how our economy grows, or how the per capita income grows, and how there is a change in the national income. But for economic development, is measured in terms of agriculture productivity, agricultural productivity, quality of human life, etc. In economic development, it is measured in terms of agricultural productivity, that is how much agricultural goods are produced, how much industrial productivity, quality of human life, etc. shall be taking place. So here we are done with the first topic of our syllabus, that is which is about the introduction and basic concepts of economics. So these are the certain concepts which we have dealt with. Firstly, we understood what is economics, or how did economics come into the theory, or how did economics come into India, and how were concepts introduced, in which we saw Kautilya, in which we saw about Adam Smith, we saw about Alfred Marshall, we saw about Kenneth Boulding, we saw about various economists which have given their point of view on it. Then we saw the difference between microeconomics, and in microeconomics we learned various concepts which were dealing with wants. Then what are the different wants of people, then how you should be using the wants, then how each want shall be further classified into non-economic, economic wants, and further we have studied about various concepts which were related, in which we even saw about income, that is fixed income, fluctuating income, what are the various sources of income. We saw economic activities, in which we saw production, distribution, exchange, consumption. Then we introduced a topic about macroeconomics. We shall be studying about macroeconomics more in detail in the further topics. We have one more topic which shall be covering macroeconomics, and which shall give us more details about micro and macroeconomics. Remember, in this topic we shall have given importance to microeconomics and macroeconomics and these basic concepts. Then we have learned about economic growth and economic development. So I hope that you have understood whatever I have tried to explain. If you have any doubts, or if you have any problems, you can get back to me. So in this we shall be even solving the exercises. I shall be giving the answers if you want. If you're not understanding any answer, or if you want help in any answer, you can tell me. I shall help you with all the answers also, and with all I shall solve all your doubts. So this was a basic introduction and basic information about the first chapter that we shall be studying in 11th standard. Okay, so I shall stop here. Thank you, class.